Welcome one and all to the day 3 of I try to make a Newgrounds playlist generator in C#. So, where did we leave off? Well, last time we did like the entire business logic layer, which I mean that was cool and all, but we gotta do some more shit. I kind of got stuck on here. Ignore the errors. The idea is here. As you can see, I'm passing in a string to get an input. Then I'm using a, like some type of validation function. And if that succeeds, we set the value for that property. I think best thing to do is to make some type of like validation logic thing. I usually call it validation to like split it off. It's not really. The thing is, this is like a combination of not. I would say this belongs still in presentation, sort of, because it makes use of logic to go over here, right? So, still like validation.cs. I do namespace project.presentation. It's gonna complain that I need to add a file header, so there you go. What? Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. This is .editor config file. So basically someone from my study basically told me to implement this whole editor config file from GitHub, but because of that now, this is breaking, so not sure why. I don't know what's causing that. It's clearly some type of thing. I'm gonna do Ctrl+A, Ctrl/ for this for now, because now it's messing with like the normal license. Don't know what's causing that issue, but whatever. We're gonna stick with this because that's what I'm used to. So we want to make a public static class validation. Yeah, I basically made every warning a compile time error, which again was just a random recommendation. I thought it was an interesting idea, but with style cop, that is an absolute and utter nightmare. Like, it really is. Okay, well, I would have to do public static. What would this be? I guess void. Because in theory, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a validate method, I guess. This validation method is gonna take in string message and a func that takes in a type T and then T object, T property. So we're gonna have a T object passed in, which returns a T property. Or well, no, no, because I would say it's actually just action T, so it would be func t, no, not func t, action t setter. And if we're doing that, we're also going to need to pass in the func yeah, because like, okay, the idea is, if I just do this, do like a comment, it's like, basically you would say like validate, enter a message here, or enter something here, right? You would basically do this, and for the setter you can say something like, say you have like a person object, right? So like person, wait, hold on. Person equals new John, age 19 or something, right? Like you have this. What you can say is you can say why is it an action T though? It's like you're not, you know, because it takes in a type T, so it's value, I'm going to say person dot name equals value, right? In theory, that's what you would have. So this T is basically, I'll just call this T value, right? That way you have your setter, your message, and some type of validator function, right? What I usually do is I just say like public delegate be a func, not necessarily that returns a boolean, but yeah, it would always be a boolean and a type, right? Like it returns a type to set it to. So it'd be type T bool, I guess, or no, it'd be a tuple that has a T and a bool, right? Validator. T, which takes in a well, nothing, I guess. Do like there. All right. So basically what this does is it returns a type T and a boolean. So that determines its success, basically. Or should it be, can you do out parameters? I doubt you can, right? Like say like I said it didn't take any arguments, but you said like bool out T, yeah, when, yeah, because then thinks I'm using covariance, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. Func bool wouldn't work, because practically what I'm trying to do is make a delegate that allows for an out parameter. Can you do that? It's a good question to ask. Can you for Rick yeah, you can just define that. Or you can just return tuple. So the best idea is to use out inside. So say it's a func bool with an out t value. That's just because you didn't document it, yeah. So it's not t value because t won't. No, it is t value. So this is my idea. We have some type of delegate that gives an out parameter. This is just more readable for me because personally I don't like using tuples for that. Tuples are, if you do more than like 2 elements, it becomes really hard to understand what they mean. But yeah, so for this validate method, what you would do, we're not going to need to do any like while loops or anything. I don't really care about that. If you wanted to do that, you could probably make an overload that does that for you. But here, the only thing I want to do is say string input equals as what would be. I feel like that doesn't belong in input logic because input logic. Ask input, ask enter. Ask input is, I mean, doesn't really fit in validation either, does it? Because ask input and ask enter. I guess it's validation. You're not validating anything though. You're just getting shit, so maybe not. Right? I'd say it's just like input logic dot ask input message. Pretty simple stuff. And we're just going to say bool result equals validator out well, I mean, it would take in yeah, because I mean, you would have to have a string input at the very least. You do input and then out t value val. But this gives you a system.func, right? So this supplies you that func bool so this gives you a func bool. So I guess delegates are more like a thing for that. So that's how you can basically create a func, and you would have to call that func. It's not necessarily what I was looking for though. I kind of just want to define a func. Well, if you're doing like a bool, huh? I guess that works. Because you're stating, I don't want to return a func, I just want to return a bool in this case. Because this in itself is its own function without g-value. And then say if res yeah. I mean, there's still the bool t-value idea, where basically you return a boolean stating if it succeeded. You have a t-value, which is just any type of value, and then you have your error message that you want to print. I think that's still the best way to go about it. Right. I just hate doing it like that. But that is how you would do it. If that were to fail, you would need to have some type of like error message attached to that for it to work. So you probably want to do something like, well, I mean, you could say result d-value string error variable res value error if res say setter val else console.write line yeah, you would do yeah, you would just do a string input. And maybe you can do that. That's just for readability. But the idea is each validator function is simply just, well, this. If res setter val else console write line error followed by console dot read key or just like an input logic dot ask enter. I don't know, something like that. Then you can see a change, right? least that's my suspicion. Guess you would have to document it now. Always the most fun thing to do. For validation functions, the type of the return type of the function, return type of the validator. The user input to validate returns this is going to be that where slash para the outcome of the value. False otherwise. Should probably capitalize it. I always do capital things because that's more clear to the reader. Wait, how do you do? What was it again? It was like a list thing, right? It was like a list type equals. You gonna autocomplete somewhere? Type equals. Oh, shut up. What was it again? I always forget how this works. Let me see again what that was, because I have forgotten completely what that is even meant to be. Summary. Let me see. That's probably on this page. No, because that's the last page. Here we go. The list. Type equals bullet. Bullet number table. Don't even know what that does. Bullet number table. No clue what this even does. But apparently it does something. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's take those bullet. Okay, there we go. I kind of like that. Do you even need the list headers for this? Or is this? No. How do you make it actually be bulleted though? How do you make bullets? Don't take that out of context. It's confusing the hell out of me. Oh, you have to do item, I think. Yeah, so if I do item, then slash item. No. That's confusing me. There we go. Okay, sure. It works. Oh, what a nightmare. This is like the most confusing syntax to me when it comes to documentation. All the fucking things here. Okay, value slash term. The return value of the validator. The converted value of the input. Value. Then one more time, you can have an item and an item with a term error. The error message to print. To be fair, there shouldn't even be like a string error. I think, well, then again, I guess for memory-wise, it's better because you're stating there is nothing there, so less space is being utilized, you know? I don't know, it's something like that. The error message to print. Like, I mean, look at this fucking summary, dude. Like, what the hell? Why is list so fucking complicated to make in XML? Holy shit. That's basically you can do a term and then boom, it does that for you. That's super useless, but alright. Well, okay, either way, you can obviously do even worse. This is the worst way to do it. This is the most barbaric way. Because then look at that, that's how it actually looks. Yeah, because I guess it should be, yeah, null if the conversion validation was successful. Yeah, there we go. Boop be doo boo. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. I struggle still with this type of syntax, but I'll get better at it. Okay, let's document validation now. Validation class for validating user input. Sure. I don't know, there's not much else to say. Okay. Validates a user input on a given validator and sets return value to the provided with the provided setter. Okay, so the value of the return type or rather the return type of the validator. Type of the validator function message. The message to print as a prompt to the user. Validator, the validator to test the user input with. And setter, the setter that sets your converted u to validator if successful. Yep. Okay, so I think that covers most of this. Just gotta do that. Boom. Fix that. Now to document this shit, because otherwise I can't even do anything with it. The login menu UI. That's standard text. Sends the name and password properties to NA. Okay. Data, are we gonna really need that? Well, I guess we are. Record for storing login credentials. Like I can't make this right, because yeah, it will complain like, because this is needs to be static. Because if because I set it in a certain way, you can do it like non-statically, or like make everything static. I'm pretty sure you can. Like the way you would have to do that in menu is basically just remove this whole fucking thing of like, where is it? The set options, like where I do this stuff. And the return to, you can then just use inside of that menu. Right, like you can just do it on your own. That way you could theoretically make it static. Because what? Well, the thing is, you can't make it a static class because, well, yeah, that's dumb. Is running would have to be not static, I think. In theory, I mean, yeah, this stuff has to kind of do this type of stuff. So yeah, making instances I think is fine. But dude, does this have to be static? Because it's easier if you have like these be allowed to be virtual, right? Because that's kind of why I was like unsure if I should really have them be static. Or yeah, have these be static rather than not static, because it's kind of annoying having to do that. But these are things at compile time, right? You could use a gets, but that would mean that you would have to define it multiple times. Huh, wait. Yeah, that might be good for like a get. What if I did this as a get, like... How about instead of this, it's just this, and then set just exists. Oh, whoa, that's not what I told you to do. Oh yeah, yeah, because the reason why it fails now is because it says, oh, you should use field. But like, field is fucking, that's like a C# 14 thing, but like, I don't like it. Well, I kind of do. Is when you actually need to use it, it's great. But when it just warns you about it, like, like what exactly? Like if I do this, okay, say I Control C this, right? And I said in here, because it will now complain, right? I can say implement abstract class. I placed it somewhere. Yeah, see, I threw it here. Now, why would this work but the other one doesn't? Right, that's the question I have. It might just be because both need to be used. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Like if I said like set will be field equals value, for instance. And this can be simplified, but how do I, because this says it should use field, but why? Because so get would give you this. Let me view the problem first, because maybe it's somewhere in here that I can fix it. No, that's partial. What error was it again? CS9266. That doesn't even exist. For what I can tell. Great fucking great. Great stuff, man. 9266 just doesn't even exist. Oh, I hate it. Oh my god, this fucking documentation is so trash. It's not even here. Wow, they have like almost no documentation on field. They just have a fucking simple unimplemented get and then a set that makes use of field. What the fuck, dude? Doesn't even make sense. Why would that be that way? This is garbage. I don't get it. Because yeah, it just complains about it, but when you throw an exception, apparently it doesn't complain about it. Why does VS Code complain about it for no reason? Like, how do you use the getter? But like, could I make, okay, now that it's in the getter now, can you do this? Yeah, you can. I just have to figure out why that's being a dick. Then I don't have to do this. I can just remove this line because then I don't have to do anything there. That's way better. And this, yeah, I get it. I get it. This can be auto implemented, but like, why is the getter being such a dick? That shouldn't be the case, right? It shouldn't be that way. What do you use field for? Like, boom, I use field. It's because the set exists, right? But if I remove the set, it can't use this. Or it can. I don't know. Oh, okay, well, I mean, I guess that solves it. What if it's just a getter, though? I'd say do this. Now, I don't think this is very well formatted. But yeah, can't really do much about it. Oh, I guess you can do that. Didn't know that. All right. Yeah, now see, here's the problem. Because if you use this, then the setter, like, it wants you to use a setter. If you make the setter private, can I do this? You can't use a private set. I feel like in general should just only have a getter. Only issue is that this happens. You can't set it to this new array because ref isn't allowed or anything. So you can't use resize. To be fair, yeah, you can't like, the problem is if you try to do like array.resize with a reference to this.options, it's can say that that's not possible because his property doesn't deal with references. So you pretty much can't resize it. To be fair, this is pretty useless because you can just implement this yourself, right? Personally, don't think I should have that. Like if that's the case, you might as well just remove that because that's pointless, right? Right? Because then it does work. And that would make more sense if you just added it yourself. So, yeah, I've been trying to do this for like ages now, trying to get this all fixed. Anyway, let's actually make a proper documentation. Gets the username, password, firm options. I wouldn't even need to do this because in theory that's pointless. So a menu, I would just honestly say remove this entirely. Because it's pointless, you know? It's pointless to do any of that. So at most, you could say it's just the same implementation for every single one, so you can just have that be its own method that you can use. So, like, what I mean is if we go into, like, where would this work? I guess down here. You would have, like, a protected virtual return. A return type of coder. Void return, which its default implementation is just whatever the fuck, right? Is running equals false. This that is running equals false. For returning to the previous menu. Remarks can be extended to have larger functionality. Have more functionality. By the derived class. Oh yeah, public right now is here, even though it doesn't like that. Boom. What is this? Get out of here. Because each one will have a different meaning. And then I guess you can have like a public string what do I call it? Yeah, look, it's like a func string key and action value. I can just change that back to a string key. What can I call this? Just do like a record menu option or something up here. Record menu option. Or just getting it. I don't know. And then public action. And then I believe you do this and you go, I believe there's like something you can do here. Final implementation. I don't know, the teacher did this somehow and I don't remember how. Or you could like say, hey, I wanna oh here. That's how. Right, so if I select the whole thing, I can then click this. What does this do? What? Okay, interesting. Modify review and customer and see. I mean, I could do that. Although it's extremely simple. Probably stylistically better. Let's do that. Move type to that. So we made a menu option.cs class. Perfect. So then we can just do this. Public abstract partial class menu. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so if you make it partial, you're able to like split it into different like areas. It's actually pretty useful. If you want to do something like this, it's pretty cool. Although I personally just say make it a public record. Way easier. And then document that. Record for a menu option. I think using tuples is a bad idea in general. You should always use things like records to kind of like make it clear what everything does. Because if you have like a tuple of like 4 elements, who the fuck knows what that is? Like if you make that an array of those 4 values, like who the fuck is gonna know what a string int byte array string builder is going to do? No one fucking knows. I mean, you can document it as much as you want, but it looks like a fucking clutter. It looks like a fucking mess. Right? And that's just what it is. It's just an utter goddamn mess. Okay, so This is, I'm just gonna yank this from my head here. Just throw this like up here or something so I can read it. Okay. The prompt gets the prompt. Oh yeah. Gets the prompt to print for this menu option. Right. Gets the action to perform. I'd rather call this like, I don't know, what is a good name for this? Yeah, I mean, action, I hate calling the thing its own thing. I'd call this a prompt in my opinion, and this would be like thesaurus.com. Action. Yeah, an operation. That's basically the best that the source.com is going to give me. Okay, then. I mean, it's like. It's a prompt. Fuck it. Just call it action. I'm selecting this menu option, and then just generate a constructor for me, please, if you can, because I got them. The property required. Yeah, to be fair, you could do that. You can say basically what you can do. This is a nice thing you can do, I believe. Don't know what it's gonna say. For public. Oh. Well, it's definitely not working. Yeah, so if you do this, now it's in a more reasonable order, right? So, this we can now get rid of. Yeah, well, it represents a menu option in the menu class. Menu is now partial, I think, because I changed that. Yeah, I don't want it to be partial. That keeps this a little bit clean, right? No, this would work, I think. Though I would personally say, just do like a menu option. Oh yeah, because that's still in the same thing. Give me a moment. This right here should just be a menu option. It's a menu option array. Yeah, you gotta keep it simple, you know? If you keep it like simple, it's easier to read for everyone involved. So, let's see what else we can do. Remember type in name. Remember type. Oh, because I still have this here. What was this even going to be? Oh yeah, yeah. Public menu option. Create return option. I guess you make that static. Let's do protected though, because I feel like that should be what it is. With a string last menu. Return new. Yeah, it's not gonna like that because you have to do last menu action equals return. Oh, that's not return. There we go. This is often something that people do. What is truly the benefit behind required? I guess you don't have to make a constructor. that's really the big benefit, I guess. Because I've read up about this whole like record based stuff and primary constructors and stuff. A lot of the times when you read that type of stuff, it comes down to people are too lazy to make a constructor and don't want to type as much. So you end up getting something like this. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because now every time you do new, you're going to have to do it outside of the thing. Which, then again, this is more clear because it tells you exactly what you're setting. So it's kind of like forcing it to be not positional arguments, but named arguments. Or like optional, right? Except they're not optional here, they're required. If you don't put them in, it will give you a compile error. Yeah, it's kind of like that, right? So, yeah. Could you... You cannot do this, though. Because you can't make it an anonymous class. Which I guess makes sense, right? So... This allows you to just create it like that, and that's it. So say in login menu now, the only thing you have to do is first of all make this a menu option array. Don't think that's meant to compile, but okay. It's not meant to compile. Because this is this makes it more clear to the reader what everything does, right? Which in itself is a better way to do things. Plus you can space it out way easier. And then action. Also, this is a very messed up way. I should just do this in like a string utils thing. So in utilities, let me make string utils.cs namespace project dot logic dot utilities. Let's maybe do a file liner. Public public static class string utils. Static class for string manipulation. String manipulation, and then we can say what is the synonym for cut off again? Like cutting off a word. I looked it up yesterday, I believe, where it's like just trying to see like how to do it, and they said like a certain word. God, I'm terrible at this shit. Doesn't like sealed. Yeah, because sealed in itself is static, I guess. Technically, well, not necessarily static, but you can't inherit from it anyway. A static class you also cannot inherit from, so. Public static, like, what would it be? It would basically you cutting off the thing. I mean, I looked it up somewhere, didn't I? You cut off. Truncate, that's what it was. Truncate. So public static string truncate. This string str. And int max chars. And then I guess string and then this is going to just say str dot substring is a bit more readable. 0 followed by max chars. String concat. Okay, so for string.concat, we can concatenate a span. Okay, read only span char with dot dot dot, aka ellipsis. Then truncates a string after a certain amount of character. Reaching a certain length. Pendant ellipsis. Sure. Maybe just turn off the light. Okay. The string to truncate the maximum length of the string. The ellipsis to append at the end of the string. By default. And then returns the truncated string with pendant ellipsis. So this allows you to simply that's the case. Then say, basically instead of this, we'll just say password.truncate Yeah, the reason this fails is because you would need to first determine what it is. And otherwise it's the password itself. But that's a very lengthy one. Because that would be, needs to be on the same line. So we truncate. Yeah, no, this is way easier. You can just do all of this in truncate. Yeah, there's an argument range. So what you can say, basically say, length is more than max chars, question mark. Then it would be this. Otherwise it would just be str. Done. Right? You've done it all in basically one line. So now you just need to do this dot password dot truncate max pass chars. Basically, that's what you do. And this would be take return option with main menu. Oh yeah, and then right. And then instead of static for everything, you can just do void. And We don't need this shit. Yeah, because now I have to just use this, and it would work. See, this is way better. Yeah, no, I think that's the best I can do. Personally, I actually think it should be this, because you're already saying if it's possible. Because now I can say this is virtual. Making all these protected. Yeah, I can make these virtual, like I originally planned to do. Do. Okay. What's next? Well, we still can make it compile. Gotta document even more shit. Can I just say inherit doc here? gets or sets the name no, because the name and the password are not relevant because you already have a record for storing this data. Can you say like, can I say like, if I say new data, like this, it's data equals this, and then I say data dot name equals, you know, this doesn't work, see? Because it's still an init only accessor, so what if I say this is struct? Yeah, there we go. And then you get to do that. I think we're gonna have to make like a this honestly is fitting in here, like this fits in like, well, I think data models can be separated into even more smaller things. I'm gonna say this is a what is, yeah, well, it's called a DTO, but I need to look up what the DTO definition, because I don't remember. A data transfer object. So here we're going to new folder data transfer objects. So here we're going to say login data.csis. Like, okay, well, it is a struct then a class, then a record. Kind of like trying to figure out here. They contain only public data members, they have no virtual functions. Delete S, okay. Yeah, you would assume. Let's see here. Record struct is the most, yeah, but it's mutable data here. They're generally intended for lightweight data representation. And then these are obviously immutable, so they don't really work. Yeah, I think in general, a struct is better to use here. So let's do namespace project.data.dto. Just to keep it, you could say like data transfer objects. That's an extreme, that's a mouthful, okay? So we're just gonna say DTOs, right? Just to keep it simple. Then we're gonna say public struct login data. So we can just say public name get private set. I guess no, just get and set because it's mutable data. All of this is mutable data, so string password get and set. Yeah, menu option. Well, menu option in itself is just this isn't a data transferring object. Because it's more just for clarity. So I would, it's immutable. If something's immutable, I refuse to call it that. That I would actually maybe call like a data model. Would this fit under, because like, okay, a data model is something you like manipulate in the access class, classes, right? I'm thinking that DTOs in this case do not fall under that because it's more just to kind of collect mutable data and just put it into one box, one singular box, and it has nothing to do with data access. And because it's mutable data, it's basically meant to be mutable. That's how it would work. Okay, so this is represents who fucking knows what? Don't remember. Login credentials. Gets or sets the name, the login, gets or sets the password of the login. That's it, really. So now in login menu, we don't need this stupid data struct. I would say private login data it's gonna have a getter and it equals new this will set it to their default values. Which again, in login data, what we can do, set this to NA, possibly. If that's even allowed. Oh yeah, because I don't have a constructor yet. You're gonna allow me to make a generate constructor. That did not generate the constructor like I wanted it to. Rather, better idea is to just simply make an actual constructor, right? Just say string name, string password, and then just say name equals name, password equals password. Do a this dot name, this dot password, and then we'll have public login data, this NA. There we go. Default text. And password properties. The name. And then the password entered for the login. Pretty simple stuff. And then default text. There we go. There we go. An unnecessary amount of documentation, but whatever. There we go, that makes more sense. And to be fair, using something like struct is probably the best here. Okay. We're getting there, okay? We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there someday. Really thought I was gonna be doing more today, but this is all I'm doing. The citation of the login menu turns Setting the name of the menu. Yep, and then username. The username user for a username. There we go. The user for a password. Confirms the user's username and password as long as they are not equal to the default. But yeah. All right. What else are we gonna do here? Well, what else do we have to fix? Man, this is just me complaining. There we go. So that's fixed now. Now we gotta document this. Create a new menu option object for returning to the previous menu. The name of the previous menu and returns return method. All right. Dot prompt dot length. Dot prompt dot action. All right. Cool. Which register menu. Menu UI. Let's be consistent for capitalization. Yep. And then this can be menu option. Gets though, it's like it's gets, which is weird, right? Just want to confirm options. Which means I don't have to override it because it's the exact same. Okay. Gets the header of the go. Get a ASCII representation of the register menu returns a multi-line ASCII string representing the name of the register menu. All right. Password and protected override confirm. Right. All right. It's almost able to compile, don't worry. User for a password. What did I even originally say there? To be fair, I don't even know. Like, I genuinely don't even know what I said I would do here. Okay, let's see here. overrides original set password method to have validation for the password. Using user logics as well. Password method also uses different prompt. So just add validation instead of so we're not going to be reusing base or anything. For a new password using validation, and then here confirms the entered username and password. Oh, I can just say inherit doc. Remarks. Also, creates a new user using project.data models. This creates a new user object and ignores account verification. Okay, so will it now compile? Probably not. Let me see here. Nope. Start menu isn't good. The start menu UI. Oh yeah. Of the start menu. Returns a multi-line presentation of the representing the name of the menu, of the start menu. Okay. And options again, it's going to be menu option array with new prompt equals login action equals login. Let's do this so I don't have to deal with that every time. Register a new account and action equals register. And then remove this syntax. Prompt equals continue without account. Action equals continue. And remove this. There we go. And then just do the classic thing of just doing this.create. Oh, because it's something says this. There's no target type for me. What do you mean there's no target type? It's probably just because of this. Before this doesn't exist, so we can just remove this. Yeah, this gets array of object second by the user. Is there even anything? There's nothing here, so yeah, it gets an array of objects selected by the user. Pretty simple. As for the start menu, just to make it more specific. Okay, that now compiles. These don't need to compile. UI helper also works. Well, why is this not in presentation? Namespace project.presentation, please. No, it's going to break anything. Don't think so. But yeah, I would say this is theoretically a data model. You know, I would argue data model. Sort of. It's like, okay, data models are, well, classes. So like, okay, a data model can also be a record though, right? Like it can be a record or a class, doesn't really matter. It's just, I feel like I associate data models with data access. But I feel like that's not always the case. Right? Like I'm unsure about that. Because they're not transferring data. Like I'm very iffy about it because it's not mutable data. No longer project representation, project data.dtos and using presentation. Now what the fuck is it doing here? All of a sudden, because I did that. No clue. Don't know why it's being like this. Like a view menu option, for example, for all of them. But it is. Yeah, because of this failed, yeah. So this one needs using data.dtls. There we go. Yay. Okay. Does that mean this can finally compile? Probably not. This is all documented. This is all fine. Data access. Data models. I think it can compile. Man, wasn't that worth it? Oh yeah. And anytime a mythic gets activated, this is also something I should say, it should turn on the cursor. Right? But how do you do that? How do you automate that? Like, after every single action? Maybe you... What happens if you do this? Actually, I'm kind of curious. Control X for now. And you can do this, and then you don't have to deal with that, right? But yeah, I want it to only show up when you call one of those. So it's like basically every single action. Right, because then say prompt equals prompt. Wait, this has to be this dot prompt. Yeah, that would work. And say this dot action equals new action, and say console dot. You might be like, oh, but it's in this layer or whatever. It's, dude, it doesn't matter. It's a fucking data transfer object. Cursor visible equals true action. So basically this. And of that I mean this, because we have this stupid extension that allows us to do this for a million years. Okay, so just do the default text, the prompt for the menu option, the action, that's what you really need to know, right? So yeah, I am going to change that because that basically forces this into that, right? So that's why we're going to remove this. We're still going to keep the initializer, I think. You can also just say it just doesn't have a setter, so we don't need that. And then we can simply just say username this.login.name. Yeah, I mean, this required stuff is interesting, but I don't really like it that much. Like, it could be cool, but it has to be a very specific scenario for me. And then get password, I guess. Just don't get password. Because, like, it also just feels like it's so, like, isolated from where it should be, right? There we go. Very simple. Same to do in menu, I guess. Yeah, I mean, return to last menu. And this dot return. Which you can simply just do that to this for. Which means, I mean, this literally just returns a simple thing. You might as well just do this. Or even this, because it's a one-liner. Okay, so this is going to have a login, register a new account, just register, then continue without account, or just continue. And boom, fix that one. Everything compiling. Now what's most likely going to happen is that it's going to turn off immediately, not turn back on. Well, that's if I even turned it off in the first place. So basically it's just every time you do it, you're going to have to do it, right? I'm going to say console dot cursor visible equals false every time this runs. So now in theory it should just run this way. So you see it's invisible and it's visible. Type something in, it's invisible. Got him. Beautiful. Looks just like how I wanted it to work. Oh my god, look at this nightmare. Should I try and turn on .editor config again? Because I think this could be useful. It's just that it's messing with my already existing yeah, see, it's like messing with my actual code. I think I just need to find, like, where the hell this is happening. Non-private contains or Pascal case. God, sorry, yeah. Here, file header template. We don't need this. How much would that solve on its own? Not enough, apparently. Fix formatting. What do you mean fix formatting? Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Because my thing that conflicts. That conflicts with me here. And for some reason it wants you to use var instead of the explicit type. I never have understood that. That's like, why would you do that? Var is only good if you have, like, Like a very long one, plus this one's just broken. So we're gonna have to do something in the editor config here. We're gonna have to get rid of the spacing. So where's all the like styling? No, this indentation. All kinds. Goddamn wires. Why is there so much shit? Preferences, white space options. Wait. Allow blank line after colon in constructor initializer. It's one of these. Yeah, like what if I control slash this line? Well, it's just a formatting issue. See, that's fine. I'm okay with that. This is just a simple fix, but see, this is still causing an error. So that was not the line that was causing it. Yeah, C# style var for built-in types. Why would you ever do that? I don't understand that, okay? No. Shut up. I don't need that. Listen, this I can at least understand, that the using should be like a space in between, whatever, who cares? That's understandable, it's more readable that way. But like, yeah, the new thing is this new syntax again. I don't like that. Like, I could say like new menu option, and you get this recommendation. So I don't know. I guess I could just do this. Right, new login data. Then it tells me, do not use default value type constructor. Why is that even a rule? It's a dumbass rule, dude. I mean, you can change this to a class, I guess. Yeah, it's okay with it. So, this new string builder. Yeah, I mean, if it's like that, then yes, I would use var, because it's pointless to be repeating yourself twice. Now does that make everything compile with these additions? I think it does. So I'm missing some. Oh no, here's a bunch. New user, and that way it's more readable anyway. Or, no, this is new dynamic parameters. New dapper.dynamic parameters. It's easier to just say using dapper. New dynamic parameters. I mean, hey, it's better formatting, so who cares? Gotta make it clear what it does, right? There we go. Accessor also has 2 of those scenarios, apparently. New SQLite connection. Don't care about your recommendations. And dictionary long T derived question mark. Which is that. Okay. Is that all of them? Nope, data hasher is a problem. That's formatting again. User logic is new user access. Just be like, oh, you're doing it wrong. If I do that though, it's gonna say it's wrong. So that's a rule I shouldn't even have in there. The whole having to start with S underscore or whatever. Naming symbols. Here it is. This should be disabled. No, don't like that either. See, this editor config thing is pretty shit. Should not be camel case. I mean, all these naming conventions, most of these suck ass. No require prefix, because that breaks things. If, you know, my styling. I could just say, hey, we're not using this, we're using this entire thing, and this would just be it. I don't know, I've gotten used to this, so I'll just keep it at this. So. Still gonna complain about it? Yeah, it is, but I don't care. I can reset it now, hopefully. No build errors. The project seems to have compiled, so that's good. Ain't that good for the eyes. Yeah, if there's an error message, you can just print that. If anything, you can also just like, you know, delete it and then show normal text. And this way it's, I don't know, a little more contained. You can also say, oh, we put the cursor position here and have this dynamically increase in size. That's a nightmare, and honestly, this is why you shouldn't do anything console-based anyway. Bad move on anyone's part. Just a really bad move in general. So right, so we've got the functionality working again. Oh boy, that took like 2 hours. Anyway. I think only like there's like so much shit here. It's hard to really go for all of them. It's just severity stuff. Remove the unused parameter. Space preferences. Well, this is where you would have done it, but whatever. No, I don't care about these things. Just care about like all the Pascal case stuff. I don't need any of this. Yeah. I think all of the naming conventions need to leave. Right? I think it's just like these are nice to have. So say if you wanted to use a logic now, what would it say? Yeah, now it's valid. Because I've just grown so used to whatever it's called, style cop. Because style cop already does all of that editor config stuff, and you can change anything that you'd like to change, right? So maybe data abstraction, and then throw that into there. Data abstraction. I don't know, I just do it by folder because that looks nicer, I guess. Data abstraction. Oh, because that's just a thing a user I'm gonna have to add. That's why. Okay, there we go. So now we have something in presentation. The business, utilities, and logic. And then here we have data models, data transfer, objects, data access, data abstraction. Alright, nice. Well, that's nice. Very nice. I've done like absolutely nothing today. Close all. Okay, let me look back at what we originally were trying to do. Yeah, so this is that. We need to go into the login menu and actually, implement it. So we're gonna say validate enter your username dot and it's not empty. and then the setter, which is I guess name it's not logging on name equals name. Yep. New string. Be bool string string. Which is always return that followed by true input. No, otherwise false. I mean, considering it's empty anyway, might as well just return input as well. And then cannot enter an invalid name. I feel like these are things that you probably would do differently. Like this, right? I feel like these are scenarios where this is more clear. So it's not even that much code. An empty. Okay, just cannot enter an empty what would you call that again? Jesus Christ, I'm stupid. Okay, what cannot be empty? The only thing I have to do is that. Way more clear what it does, you know? Yeah, now would work. You can do this. And I have input logic as static, which is just useful. And that's it. How to do this, but that's not what they want. That's what they want you to do. Yeah, because they want you to do that. Yeah. That's the most clear I can make it, I think. And you can just copy paste this and you get password. I'll just say this is password. Rename this to pass. However, we don't store it like this. Because that's dangerous. Let me see here. Data, sure. Okay, so maybe string original hash. So I would say original hash. So, right? So I would say yeah, string hash. The hashed value to compare. And stored salt is useless. Well, okay. You wouldn't know what it is until you make the object. No, I do think you can keep it that way. Because just when you're entering, it's not confirmed to be that password. Yeah. So instead, yeah, you can just do that, yeah, and then you can okay, so simply yeah. But we're going to be reusing this everywhere. maybe I need to give this some type of like a comparable or equatable. Equatable login data. And then the object to compare, and then returns. What if we made this a whole thing in here, doc? Yeah, because I mean, I'm not changing anything about it. And then public pool. And that's going to be login data under. If under is null, return false. Otherwise, return under. And dot password is equal to no, because it would be determines whether two login data objects are equal. Object to compare is true. Login data objects are equal. False otherwise. Very simple. An object I'll get hash code. Too lazy to do this, so there we go. Let's go dot combine this dot name, this dot password. There we go. Because that allows us to simply compare what you can do in login data though, right, is you can just like have like a public login data or is default is equal to default. You can just do is equal to default, right? So if this dot login is equal to default, Otherwise, else if user logic dot verify login, and verify login won't take in this, but login data. Just say credentials or something. Credentials.name, credential.password. Makes more sense, right? The login credentials, the user, the verify login, this the login. Then say something like that. And then else equals new user or not really, we just say else it will take you to the next menu, which is the logged in menu, I guess. Or more accurately, I think it should be something in here. Like it should be just like right here, should be like protected user get protected set, which I guess should just be get and set. And then this you can document gets or sets the logged in user. Null by default. Else we can say verify login should do out user. So instead of typing this in, oh yeah, param user found with the given login credentials. Null if not found. Null if not found. It's as simple as that. Just say out user. Because then you have the user already. And you can say this dot user equals user. It's pretty simple, right? And then at the end, ask enter. Well, that's not going to compile because of a stupid formatting issue. To your username, right? So you can just enter like, I think I did it backwards. If not, right? Right? Actually, it kind of does expand. However, here, your password, you probably don't want to see your password in the login, right? So, in general, you should never see your password. Right? That's a logical thing to assume. Oh yeah, and then what I can do, right, is I can say yeah, because here's the thing, right? You want it to not be shown. I'm just going to require a little more thinking. Because this would be hide true, right? You would have to have an extra one. So bool hide equals true. False for now. Then pair name. If the determines if the are visible to the user. And that should be something if you throw into ask input. right? So here we go. So if not hide, you return console.read line !! string.empty. Otherwise, we're going to say while, yeah, we're just gonna say do key equals console.read key. Better just to do this whole thing to do while, right? Then say if console key equals info equals console.read key. True, and just say, we're going to say console.write hide question mark asterisk or info.char, right? Very simple. And well, okay, the idea is you have this switch on it, right? Switch info key case console key dot backspace when, yeah, then we have to do a simple like list of chars or something. Yeah, this is a very complicated thing because it's like it's always such a nightmare doing input stuff like this. So you have chars equals this, or to them, new list char. Right? Or well, no, it shouldn't even be this, just new string builder. So it'd be like just a builder. Builder.length. If that's the case, we're just going to console.write \b, you know, something like that. Yeah. And then also say -1 for 1. Okay. Dots. The default console.write for now. While it's not equal to console key dot enter, and then return builder.toString. You can move it with arrow keys at the moment, but that's always a nightmare anyway. Because once you go multiple lines, that becomes a problem. So what you can do yeah, because there's still an error here. Now it should work. Oh, because I don't add it. I just write it. Okay, builder.append. No, char. Oh boy. Ass word. Enter, return, builder.toString. Personally, I think that's always how it should go. And there shouldn't even be any type of condition. It should just be like while true, because I think there really shouldn't need to be any condition. I feel like it's just extra code for no reason. Same for this. This can just be console key info. And it's most likely just, that's most likely the reason that it was being weird. Yeah, there we go. And then what shows up is not going to be that. It will be truncated, but it will be hidden. So it's just new string to that, and then dot dot dot. Right? So that's pretty easy to fix. The only thing I have to go is the login menu. And here, instead of this not looking at password, we just say new string asterisk login dot password dot length and then dot truncate. So now yeah, I'd say like do like max pass characters. Max chars in general should be like 30 or something. Or 50. And this should be not private. This should be shared, in my opinion. It should be a thing in menu. Make it protected. Number of characters to display in the menu UI. What is that? No, it's max chars. There we go. So now it's just like a more general thing. In fact, that should just be whenever you print it. That's where it should be done. So in theory, that would mean if I go to the printing of it, print vertical line, so you append that, and then it appends the line. Line.truncate. No, I think menu should make it public. I mean, you can't assign to it anyway. It's a const after all. Menu.maxchars. Because then that's done for everything, and this whole line can just be simply just let's just say NA question mark NA otherwise new string, something like that, right? Or that long. Yeah. Right. Okay, it does get cut off, but this does not work correctly. Because X is calculated wrong now because of menu. Gotta get max prompt size. Truncate down to max chars. To be fair, you don't need to do that because you can just do math.max max chars plus pre. So again, typed in. What the hell? Why is the X coordinate being weird? Hold on, what if I change max chars down to like 10? No, because it tries to truncate the line here. Rather, that should be happening inside of menu. No, because it's like, no, you'd have to truncate it yourself. No, 100% you would have to truncate it yourself because there's no way to do that. Just gonna change this to option prompt length again. Because I don't think you can do that. I think that would be pointless. Really would be pointless though. Truncate. I guess here you can do like a private, just to make it shorter. A private int. Which is gonna be this login length, just because it's such a long one. I can just say this is the password length, just to make it a bit shorter. Yep. Easier way is to probably do get. Oh yeah, and then we can see no, come on now. That's just to make it more readable, because I didn't like the way that looked, and now I do like how it looks. Yeah, because I don't separate it, so you have to do it on your own every time, which is a little annoying. And then menu should do like 30 or something. I mean, you could do it if you took the original size of it. To that. Yeah, alright. Because the comparison made right now doesn't work. So why is this still here? Alright. Take this back to A. Needs to be an OR. So otherwise it doesn't work. See, now it says that, so now you can fill it in. Whatever the fuck, doesn't matter. Yeah, and then that obviously doesn't work because accounts don't exist yet. But say I inserted some random thing. No, I can't test that because that would require me to actually have it. No. But anyway. Yeah, here what you can do in the else. We can just say this dot is running. That, or we make a protected void stop. Yeah, you can just use return for that. We already have something for that. So we can just say return. And then this dot return. But yeah, that's that pretty much. I mean, you could probably make it so that menu can actually truncate it correctly. You would basically just have to split it by semicolon or by colon, I guess. You could do that. Say like you split by colon and then you decide what the length is based on that. It's math.max. You can say that X has a math.max of right. Maybe this max chars, and you could say maybe max chars plus as you can say option dot prompt dot as span no, that won't always work, so no, so you can say it's like max jars plus 3. You just increase the max jars to like 50 or something. Then in UI helper you can say line.truncate. It's not math.max, that's for sure, it's math.min. Line.truncate. It's definitely mapped on min. Yeah, there we go. See? Now it cuts off. Yeah, roughly where that would end. Right? Maybe a little lower. Using max chars plus 3. What if I just do max chars? No, it's plus 3 because otherwise it won't fit. No, it's just max chars itself has to change down to like 47 or something. Yeah, that's how I want it to be. Applications. You don't get to see your password, and then after the please try again later, it will send you back. Right, so that's as simple as just saying I guess you can do if and then if else, because then no, because then I basically have to force this to return. Let's say this is that. I mean, either way you have to repeat something, so no, I don't think I should do that. I think I should just do 2 of this, no return. It's the best you can really do. So, say you had Perfect. And arrange it back here. Bring it back in. Oh, beautiful. I love it. And then every error, though, I feel like every error should be printed in red text. How can you make that generic? Well, I guess that wouldn't be that hard. Color equals color dot red. Yeah, so my assumption is have some type of like print thing. You wrap it around and then you give it a certain attribute. For example, okay, let's just say I had a error attribute. I don't know. That's wrong type of file. Okay. Public class. Well, no, I would say attribute usage targets dot method. Could say public class error attribute. Learning from attributes. So yeah, I mean, if you apply it over it, so this one here, we can then just say menu dot ask enter, or not menu. Input logic dot ask enter. And then hold on. I kind of want to figure out how to do a decorator function because that'd be cool. How can you make most likely what you're going to have to do is not an attribute, but rather just some type of method that you can use, right? That would make more sense. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing, pretty generic. You apply an action, right? So in menu, just do some type of like protected. Print error. Yeah, string error. Which will basically just say console.foreground color equals console color.red, console.rightline error, console.background color.white, and ask enter. People like to ask enter. Prints an error message. Special with red colors and asks for turkey. The error to print. Yep. Protected static void. Yep. Which we can reuse here instead of console lines, just say print error. Way easier. That's it. Very simple. Don't need to make it so complicated. Oh. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't change that. That's kind of dumb of me. I don't know why I did that. Unless I'm fucking tired. It's super late in the day already. It's almost like 11 p.m. I'm just being a dumbass. What the fuck? What happened? I think that's because it didn't reset. There we go. Oh yeah, because I didn't get rid of it. So because now I don't even have to do this. Now I'd say this doesn't belong in this class in specific. I think print error and print error is one of those things that I would say belongs in like not validation but input logic, sure. That's where I do most of it. Now we just make this public. Don't even have to do anything for that. See how it goes now. that's like the only thing right now, which is easy to fix. You can just go to right now, and now I can just say like print. There's no possible null reference. Why would that still fail? Okay, well that works. I would just say like error plus error. Okay, let's just do string not concat because that's more concrete of what it actually does. There we go. And in login menu, get rid of the ask enter down here and all this nonsense because we don't need it anymore. And it's just this, and that's it. Which means I can just do return and then this, not return. And then, well, it's if, and then if else. Probably more clear if I said bool, it's valid user, login, would make more sense, right? And then boom, you got it basically. So pretty simple stuff. Very chill. Why am I still alive? Why do I have water? I don't know. And since you're back. Yeah. However, this invalid login credentials part, I think this I should have as its own method, right? Structure void. can just check if fill. It's a bit better, I think. Because we can just reuse this. True. Yep. Yep, that's it for login menu, I think. Now look at this nightmare. Okay. Because that allows us to overload it, and change something about it. Yeah, and I'm overwriting this to do yeah, the login has to be protected. Credentials gets the Yep. And then instead of this, only thing you change is this. Which is going to be user logic.isValid password. So then if Oh yeah, because input obviously has to be enter. Oh yeah. Of course, another thing you have to do, that'd be smart to do anyway, some console on right line. Which, just don't win this right line. No. Add a console dot right line. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's all I'm doing for today. I've done fucking enough, dude. I've been fucking doing this for way too long. I have to be a bit quiet because, you know, parents are asleep right now, but hope you enjoyed the live stream. I'm gonna continue this next time, tomorrow. We got pretty far. I mean, most of the day was just doing random shit though. Just trying to fix all the goddamn problems I had. But yeah, I'm done for today, so goodbye.